Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. And today we have the pleasure of talking with Al Maniscalco from Buffet Crampon and Julius Keilwerth, because you may or may not know that Julius Keilwerth, the Keilwerth Saxophones, are part of the Buffet Crampon group. And they just designed a new saxophone for the 100-year anniversary. And so I thought that it would be nice to talk about it with Al, because if someone knows about Keilwerth and specifically about this model, it's going to be you. So thank you, Al, for joining us. And yeah, Al, if you can maybe briefly introduce yourself, tell us what's your role at Buffet Crampon and Julius Keilwerth.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much, Alex, for having me. I appreciate the invitation, and great to be here and get to talk with everybody about this. So I am the Director of Sales and Marketing for Buffet Crampon USA, based in Jacksonville, but I'm also the Group Product Manager for Julius Keilwerth for Buffet Crampon Company. So that means I work directly with the factory, with product development, with quality control, with just overall things involving the brand and what we do worldwide with all of our customers.
All right. Excellent. And so tell us about it briefly, like the highlight, the significance of this new saxophone and why I was created.
Sure. Well, obviously, not many brands have reached the 100-year milestone. Some have hit a bit more, but we're lucky that we've reached this great milestone. And knowing this was coming a few years ago, I started thinking of something we could do to help celebrate that and commemorate this. And about 25 years ago was the 75th anniversary, and there was a 75th model that was released at that time that was popular. And we hadn't had something like that since then. So this was the time to do something. So the wheels kind of started spinning a few years ago of what we could do and what the possibilities would be. And as we started to get closer, we started making plans and working on the development so we could launch something this year to commemorate this 100-year milestone for the brand.
All right, cool. Well, before we really dive in and talk about like the history and the inspiration for this model and all, like we're really gonna go into some technical stuff. We'd like to actually, if you guys want to tell us a little bit about you guys, where you're located, where you're watching from, because it's always fun to know, I'm in France, Al is in Jacksonville. I see some people that I know that are in France. Who else? Romain also from France, and maybe if your level, just curious, just to get to know who we're talking to.
Yeah,
because we don't see you guys, but we want to know. And if you're familiar with Keilwerth, and yeah, if you have what's your interest, that's really important for us. We can we have. I have prepared this interview, but also you are more than welcome to ask questions. We're going to talk with Al, and you can ask question in the chat. I'll try to keep track of that.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a saxophone, we cannot send a saxophone right now, but all right. And okay, and then maybe just to give you a couple of minutes, because there's always some people coming a little late. Where I just wanted to wait a couple of minutes, give you the opportunity to to fill out this little survey.
Sure.
And okay, I'm just looking at the comment real quick. Everything is working. Okay. All right. So I think we can start.
Okay.
All right. So
How would you like me to begin?
all right. So Al, I'm curious if you can give us, it's the 100-year anniversary of Keilwerth. So I guess it
Yep.
would take a long time to do a full history of the company and the saxophones. But can you give us a brief history of the Keilwerth Saxophones and their impact in the saxophone world and some of the milestones in the past century of this company?
Yeah, of course. So the company was founded in 1925 by Julius Keilwerth in an area actually called Groslitz, which is part of I guess would be Czech Republic or that area now. Not exactly the same place it is now in Marknenkirchen, Germany, but not too far away from there. And that whole region has a very deep history of instrument making. There's lots of manufacturers of all different kinds of instruments that are from that region, and all sorts of instruments made. And they were there through up until about 1946, just after the war, when they were forced to relocate and displaced and had to go to Nauheim, Germany, which is outside of Frankfurt a bit. And they were there for many years to continue their production and continue growing the brand and developing instruments. Through that time, through the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s, they were still developing, many new instruments. They became in the 30s, they were the largest saxophone manufacturer in Germany at the time, and employing 150 workers and exporting over 2,000 saxophones into 22 countries in the 1930s. So they were making a lot of new products and making a name for themselves around the world. So then in 46, again, they relocated to Nauheim and continued production. And then by 1965, they started a relationship in the States with a gentleman named Herb Cuff, and he was out of Michigan, out of the Detroit area in Michigan, and he began importing Keilwerth saxophones under the Cuff name. And so many people are familiar with Cuff saxophones that you've seen out there, and those are in fact Julius Keilwerth made saxophones, and most of them stay stamped on them, made by Julius Keilwerth on the back somewhere. But if you've seen Cuff saxophones, that is in fact Keilwerth. And that helped.
How do you spell that?
C-O-U-F, Cuff.
C-O-U-F, all right.
And that really helped people become familiar with the brand in the United States. Many people knew Cuff, and he was successful with these models. And then people realized, these were being made by Keilwerth, so that helped, establish the brand more in the U.S. And then in the 80s, the development of the SX90R model, which became the standard model for the brand since that time, came, and that became very popular. And in the 90s, the SX90R was received a first prize awarded by German magazines for saxophones. So it grew in popularity during that time, and a lot of well-established artists started playing the brand, with Ernie Watts and Dave Liebman and James Moody at the time in the late 90s. In the late 80s, early 90s, Branford Marsalis was playing Keilwerth. Clarence Clemens with Bruce Springsteen had started playing Keilwerth. So a lot of very prominent players were playing the brand. And then the company itself became part of different groups over the years. in terms of management and distribution. So in 2010, Buffet Crampon Group at the time acquired the Julius Keilwerth brand along with Schreiber from Germany, and they became part of the same company. So in fact, Buffet Crampon as a company, Julius Keilwerth is one of the 10 brands that is owned and operated and distributed by Buffet Crampon.
Yeah, and it was part of Buffet Crampon before, and then it got
well,
like,
it was in the sense that it was distributed by Buffet Crampon, but not owned by Buffet Crampon. So,
okay.
Up until 2010, the brand was only distributed by Buffet Crampon.
Okay. I didn't know that because I got the previous anniversary model 25 years ago, the 75, and I got it in Mont. I went to buy it at the factory in Mont, Mont-la-Jolie, in the suburbs of Paris.
Right.
So I thought it was already owned, by the way, by them.
There's been a long relationship between the two for many years, and a lot of companies work together with development and production and distribution, and that still happens today. A lot of companies that that are distributed through certain other companies, they don't in fact own those brands, but they may just distribute them. As an example, I could give you, like in the United States, there's Conn-Selmer and Yanagisawa. Yanagisawa is distributed by Conn-Selmer, but they don't own Yanagisawa, right? Keilwerth is owned by Buffet Crampon, and now we distribute that. But previously, we simply owned it.
All right.
Yeah.
And cool. And I understand you have some old documentation that you wanted to.
So
maybe to illustrate the history.
Yeah, part of that with the history I was talking about. I brought some old catalogs I have, kind of share with people. So this is some catalogs. These are from the 30s. If you could see these, this is the old Tone King from the 1930s, and there was the Model 4 and the Model L and the Model 3.
And I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit because we can see like how the design was different back then, with one tone hole here, another tone hole on the other side. The palm keys are very different. The neck is different. Oops, sorry. I wanted to zoom out. But...
I'll show you another one. Let's see. There's one from.
And I saw there was some mouthpieces in this catalog. Did Keilwerth make mouthpieces at some point?
Keilwerth made mouthpieces. Keilwerth actually made brass at one point too. In some of these catalogs, you'll see there's Keilwerth trumpets, Keilwerth trombones. Actually, I have a Keilwerth trumpet right here. Actually, I have one. So this is a catalog from the New King from the 1940s.
Nice. And by the way, guys, you will be able to download those files for the ones who are wanting to have a look. We'll make this available.
This is from the 1960s.
Trumpet and trombone.
Keilwerth trumpets and trombones.
And so here, what are those models? The Tone King. Okay, the Tone King.
Okay, so the Tone King and the Tone King Special. The New King. And this was the Super Deluxe Jazz Trumpet.
And you guys don't do any. You just do saxophones,
Keilwerth
right?
does not make brass any longer, but trumpets, cornets, valve trombones, jazz trombones, and actually clarinets and flutes.
Wow.
And then if you look, this was the introduction of where the black and gold started in the 60s.
Wow. So this was the first model that was black nickel.
Yeah, and they did black nickel trumpets and black nickel trombones as well.
Was Keilwerth the first one to do that, or?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Wow. Very cool.
Yep.
All right.
So
Is
yeah,
there any other documentations, or
let me
you
see if there's one more here. I had one from the 50s that was different. Where'd it go? 50s. So this one shows some different artists showing some different models. Tone King again, the new King.
What was the difference between the Tone King and the New King? Do you know? I know it's a long time ago and they're not produced anymore. So
I don't remember offhand, actually. I have to go back and look at these catalogs a bit more to get up to speed. The deluxe and the Tone King, and then the trombones and the clarinets too. So we had the super deluxe, just the deluxe, not super, and the Tone King.
All right. Well, I wanna share also something. I want to share this. She is a great sax player from Germany, and I met her. I taught. She was my student for a summer, and she has that Tone King, right, with the famous angel.
Nice.
How do you call that? The angel
wing.
Angel wings, yeah.
Yes.
This is a Tone King, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Stella, I wanted to invite her to talk with us today, but she was not available. But a little shout out to Estelle Dupont. She has a very French name, but she's German.
Yeah, a lot of those early models were nickel plated. I have one myself. I have a Model 3 that's from 1936, I believe, and it's a nickel plated instrument.
All right. All right, so let's dive in this new model, which is also a limited edition, like the ones I purchased 25 years ago. So, Al, what inspired you to create this limited edition for this anniversary? And can you discuss a little bit about the process, the design process, and the materials? Like, let's get into the nitty gritty of it.
Sure. Well, as I started thinking about it, I wanted to try to incorporate things that would be significant to the history of the brand. I wanted to. The goal was not to reinvent the saxophone. Look, the saxophone is well developed, and the SX90R and the design of the core of the instrument is great, and there's nothing to. I'm certainly not going to make it better by moving this or that or redesigning the instrument itself. It's more about, what can we do to celebrate the brand and include things that will enhance the instrument aesthetically and be a nice tribute for what the brand deserves. And also create a great instrument that'll play well and sound good within the characteristics of the design. So I started thinking about different ways. Obviously, materials change the sound. Finishes will change the sound some. Different lacquers and different things you do, different platings. All of that has an effect on the production of the sound. The weight of the instrument has effects on the production of the sound. So we decided, as the process begins really with, I go to Germany and I meet with the team there at the factory, and we sit and we talk about, okay, we have this, we have that, we can do this. this is what we're capable of being able to do. This is what we would like to do. How do we put these things together and try different combinations of things to come up with what we think will work, with ideas of finish designs and key styles and key finishes, and make different little samples of things that we can look at and see, okay, how will this look? How will this work? And kind of start piecing it together piece by piece. So we decided that we wanted to base it on the shadow model, which is made of nickel silver as opposed to brass. The shadow has always been a very popular model for the brand, and has a very distinctive sound to it. So we wanted to use that nickel silver body for that base of the instrument. And then we started looking at, okay, what can we do to really make this instrument stand out in terms of how it may look, what's unique, what haven't we done before, that we can introduce something new, but also introduces something sort of innovative for the brand that we haven't done yet or had out there, or that we've seen from others for that matter. So we tried doing the sandblasting to the finish of the nickel silver, and that's where the finish came from.
All right. And when did you start working on that? How long does it take for to do?
The initial conversations started in the fall of 2023, probably around end of summer, early fall, September. I started having meetings and things with the team in Germany. And then I went to Germany in January 2024, so just a little over a year ago. And, in between our meetings of ideas and the time I got to Germany, they prepared various samples of things for us to look at and see there. And then, we tried more things there while I was there. Talking about ideas and saying, okay, what if we try this or that? And we do those things while I'm actually there.
All right. So about two years.
Yeah,
of
a year and a half to 2 years.
All right. And okay, so maybe we can look at some of the pictures and keep the conversation. So you talk about you say Germany because they are made in Germany, right?
Yes, completely.
And let me because now we have quite a few files to. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, what do we see here?
Okay, so this is the angel wing, and I wanted to include this in the design, again, as a nod to the history of the brand. This is from those models of the 50s. There's a lot of nostalgia for those old models. We've been making replacement angel wings for older models. If you have a Tone King from that era, from the 50s or 60s, at the time they were made with like a plexiglass. They weren't made out of metal. They were made from a plexiglass that was there, and many of those are broken over the years, so people look for replacements. So some years ago we started making these replacements in metal that people can order for their older models. And I thought it would be nice to bring this back for this anniversary model, sort of as a nod to the history of the brand, and it gives a very distinctive look, obviously, something unique. There isn't another instrument on the market right now, a new instrument that's doing something like this that I've seen. So again, something that's very distinctively Keilwerth.
Yeah, and I believe they are actually removable.
They are, and that's part of came part of the design. So okay, once the decision was made to say, okay, let's use this, let's include it. Now the question is, okay, how do we make it work? How do we put it on the instrument? How does it function? Because in the end, it has to be functional. It has the instrument, the tone holes still need to be, you still need to be able to adjust for the key openings. You still need to be able to protect the keys. It needs to be fastened to the body in a secure way. how is all that going to work? So after some different trial and error of different ways, we realized that it can be attached simply by attaching it to the standard key guards that are already included on the instrument. So it's functional, but it's also decorative in a sense that you could take it off and the existing key guards are underneath, still doing the job that the key guards are there to do, with the adjustment belts and everything else that goes along with that. So if you look at the photo, you can see at the bottom there, on the side and at the bottom, there's a little screw there towards the bottom and on the sides. And those screws actually attach the wing to the key guard that's underneath. So by simply removing those little screws, the key.
You're talking about this one, right?
Exactly. By removing those little screws, the angel wing will come off, and you'll have the standard key guards underneath it.
Okay. Yeah, we have this also in here, right?
Exactly. And so for somebody who, first of all, if you need to service the instrument, if you need to you're using pads or whatever else, you need to be able to remove those things safely. If you needed to make adjustments, if you wanted to adjust the felts underneath to adjust how high those keys open or whatever, then you would need to access that underneath there to be able to do that. Or if you simply just wanted to change the look and take the wing off of it and have a more traditional look without that, then you can take that off and you would have that traditional look. It would also take a little bit of weight off of the instrument as well, which it's not very heavy, but it would take a few ounces off of there by removing it.
I see. Cool. So here we see that C and E flat key.
Yep.
So the bore is the same. It's an SX90.
It's entirely SX90. There's no difference to the design of the body of the tube of the bore or the tone holes. There's no change to that.
So the roll, we can see a little bit the roll tone holes here.
Yep.
Okay, the pearls are wood.
Yes, right. They're not. In fact, they're not pearls. They're wood. I wanted to do something. This was something I had thought about for several years now, about how we can introduce something like this onto the range, because I've seen wooden key touches before, and we talked about it before, but never had an opportunity to really introduce it on a new model. So as we were doing this, I thought, okay, what can we do aesthetically that would be something new and unique for this model as well, not just a tribute from the past, but a new introduction. So I found this supplier that does, these are ebony wood key touches, and that are black and work well with the look of the horn, and really have a really nice feel and touch to play, and just a really beautiful aesthetic as you see them.
Yeah.
So all of the key touches, as well as the thumb button for the octave in the back, is ebony wood.
Okay. And so we can see here the front of the bell, and that's probably a tenor here. And so tell us about the finish. I think you say you were talking about sandblasting.
Yes. So the finish is actually a sandblasted finish. So they take the body of the instrument, and there's a small booth, not very big, that the worker can put his hands in with a couple of safety gloves, and he actually holds the instrument in one hand and this tool in the other that sandblasts the instrument, and it's done entirely by hand, one at a time. And
so it's just like a sand. It's
with sand. Yeah, it's very high pressure sand.
Is it like a specific type of sand, or you go to the beach?
No, I'm sure it's something specific that works. Something very fine grain, obviously. But it's just high pressure sand
and that's what gives this finish.
Yes, and it's the same on. So what you see there is nickel silver that's sandblasted, right? And where you see the gold parts, That's brass that's sandblasted. So that's
So
why the posts stand out more. The posts stand out as gold, and if you notice the tone holes, the rounded edge of the tone holes are also gold because those are made of brass.
okay, let me try to find if we can see that in a because here very yeah. So I'm not sure. I don't know if everybody can see, but we can see here like the
Yeah, you
fine
can
golden
that
like thing
yeah.
that roll tone hole. And so, well, Al, tell us about those roll tone holes and what does that mean, and what are the benefits of this?
Well, the roll tone hold does a couple of things. First of all, when it started historically, roll tone holes were rolled by hand. The tone hole would be drawn, and then the metal would be rolled over to create a rounded edge, as opposed to a flat cut edge, right?
Mhm.
So, a lot of the standard is that the tone hole is drawn and then it gets cut level, and you have a flat, straight edge where the pad meets the tone hole. The rolled edge creates a softer edge for the pad to hit rather than a sharp cut edge. And it also creates sort of a miniature bell effect, if you would, at each tone hole, because that rounded edge sort of, rolls over as the sound comes out. So I don't remember exactly what year we changed to this, um, but at one point we changed from doing the tone holes, actually hand rolling them, to what is a brass ring that is soldered on the top of the tone hole after it is cut. And this creates the same effect without the hand rolling process. And that's beneficial for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's very time it saves a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to do that by hand and to do it well and to do it at that
Mhm.
level. So doing it with the rings makes it a lot quicker to do. It also creates a lot more consistency because the ring is always made true, and when you put that on top of the tone hole, it's going to be true all the way around, right? Because it's made as a true ring. Um, it also helps if in a worst case scenario, if the horn gets damaged to the point that a tone hole gets severely damaged and has to be rebuilt, you can restructure that tone hole and then solder a new ring on top, and you'll have a true ring again, as opposed to
Yeah,
trying to fix the hand rolled tone hole, which rarely happens. That someone damages their horn that badly, but it could happen.
yeah,
So
yeah.
um, yeah.
All right. This is the piece between the body and the bell.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it?
the key. That's the bell brace. So that specific bell brace design was something that we introduced with the launch of the MKX model from 2013.
Mm,
Um, at the time, when we developed that model, we designed this new key bell brace that includes the JK in the middle of the little circle. So I wanted to include that on this to sort of incorporate that little piece of history from
nice.
the
And
MKX.
I see the bell is not sandblasted. Is it?
Correct.
It not.
So
All right. It
yeah, we left the bell as that's the true nickel silver that you see.
so that's got to be a beautiful effect to have the exterior sand
Yeah.
with the sandblasted finish and the bell with its
Yep.
shiny finish.
So the keys are in fact black nickel plated.
Yeah, because I see you're answering a question, right? What is the key finish?
Yes.
And so they are black nickeled.
Yes, it's black nickel plated. And black nickel has been historically a very popular finish for the brand, as we saw in those early catalogs going back from the 60s, and when they introduced that black nickel. A lot of people associate that finish with the Keilwerth brand. So, I thought to try to include that in some way. It made a very nice combination with the sandblasting, and also includes that nod again to the history of the brand, but doing it in a different way because historically we have never done an instrument with black nickel keys. It's always been on the body of the instrument in some way, but never on the key work.
Yeah.
So it's tying in the history, but again doing something new.
Yeah, like this one. This one, the body. I don't know if you guys can really see, but
Oh yeah,
this is the over the 25 years ago. So the 75-year anniversary model with the body was black nickel, and this is sterling silver, right? In
yeah. The bell is sterling silver, and the neck is sterling silver on that.
the neck as well. Um, all right, and so we can see it here in the case, beautiful. So that comes with its case, and here we have the tenor. And actually, so tell us, Al, there's a couple of specific things about the Keilwerth, the palm keys. I don't know if some people are familiar with that system, which,
Sure.
to my knowledge, it's the only saxophone that has this palm keys system. What is it?
So this is an adjustable palm key system. So the palm keys themselves are threaded into the rod at the end there, so you can screw them out to meet your hand. If you have a larger hand like I do, it can come out to meet the palm of your hand easier. Historically, people have done things to their palm keys to create key risers. Either they put some sort of buildup of wax or some other sort of thing, or there's been rubber attachments you could put over the keys, and sometimes people get 2 or 3 of those and glue them together because they don't rise out enough, and then they do all kinds of configuring to make it all work. So this does it automatically. You basically just screw it out. It'll give you up to about a half an inch, I think, of extra extension there. And then there's a little lock nut that locks it into place so it doesn't spin around on you while you're playing. And it was certainly the first brand I'm aware of to offer something like that. I know there was another brand that did something sort of their own sort of version of it for a little while, maybe 10 years ago, but it didn't. It's not quite as popular. So.
And so here I have my tenor anniversary model. Here I have I also have the alto anniversary model, but it's actually in the Buffet Crampon showroom. I have to get it back tomorrow. And this is a Senzo. Let me just come back to the screen. And by Buffet Crampon, and in this model, you guys kind of fused some elements from the Keilwerth, like these keys, which are not only adjustable with the height, but also the angle of the. All right, so mine, you can place them, so it really fits as well as possible, as good as possible with your hands. So not only the height, but also the angle. I don't know if I'm really clear, but you can have it. You can turn it up like this. What about the those keys on the SX on the Keilwerth? Because on the Senzo you have that keys that is split in two. Did you keep that or not?
No, that's not part of the Keilwerth design. We did that. That was a buffet design that we incorporated back for the Senzo. Mm-hmm. A lot of the similarities there with the Senzo are because, again, Keilwerth as the brand is owned by Buffet Crampon. With the development of the Senzo model, we incorporate all of our resources for production. So that includes, the final assembly and key work for the Senzo is actually done at Keilwerth. So a lot of the key work is very similar. While the body and the bore of the Senzo is very different from the Keilwerth, which is what makes it unique and makes it its own thing. The key work and some of the mechanics are similar in using some of those same parts, in fact.
Yeah. And okay, we have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Is there a layer of lacquer on the sandblasted body?
Yes, yes.
Or
The body is protected with a coat of lacquer, just to protect it. Not just a thin coat for protection.
okay. The key finish we addressed this. Is it possible to look at the low B flat and C sharp keys?
Low B
Uh,
flat, C sharp keys. Sure.
the low B
Well,
flat. So,
so I actually have the tenor here.
let me get rid of this.
So
And
this is
is that who's was asking Chris? Is that what you wanted to see? Like the you want to have a closer look at this part? Is this what you wanted to?
yeah.
Maybe
What
there's an. Uh,
were you asking to see, Chris? We got a question about models being produced. So actually, because this is the 100th anniversary, we decided to make this a very exclusive model. We've produced only 100 models, 100 units worldwide, only 50 altos and 50 tenors. Um, and they are all numbered. So you would have your serial number, and on the bottom here, you would also have the number of, whatever the number is of 50. So this is in fact tenor number 1 of 50. And then there's altos 1 to 50 as well. And that's the total that'll be produced and distributed globally.
and okay, how someone is asking how would one order this?
Depending on where you are, I mean, the best way is just to contact the local stores that you work with and see if they have one. Obviously, with such limited production, there's only very few available out there in the various markets. With only 100 units to distribute worldwide, we had to allocate only so many per region. So for USA, for Europe, for Germany, for Japan, for Asia, I had to divide 100 pieces between the world. So each region basically got about 15 to 20 depending total. And for most of the regions, they've all been sold already to dealers who will have them available on their website or through their store. But only so many dealers, obviously, because there's only so many available.
All right. And actually, I forgot to ask, but someone is reminding me
Yeah,
about the necks because I believe it comes with two necks. So,
it's two necks.
why, what can you tell us about those necks?
Sure. You know what? I should take out the other neck. Let me grab that. I forgot to pull that out. Give me a moment.
All right. And while it does this, I'm going to, I want to make this available for you guys. I'm going to close that for a second. And you should be able now to share this, and we'll share the old catalogs also for those of you who are interested in those memorabilia. How do you say memorabilia?
Memorabilia? Yeah.
Say, say that again.
Memorabilia.
Memorabilia.
Yes. So okay. So necks. So there's two necks included. One is the standard SX90 neck. The second is the Icon neck. And what's different about the Icon is that you notice there's these two braces that attach on either side. And these are made of brass. And that's really the only difference between the two. There's no difference in size, there's no difference in dimension or shape or taper or bore or anything else. The real difference is just these two bars. But the two bars do a lot of things. First of all, adds a little extra support for those that might be worried about the neck getting pulled down or damaged in some way. And that's
Mhm.
sort of how that happened. And generally, you know, if you see older instruments out there that have a neck with a bar on it, it's usually because someone was worried about their neck getting bent, or it actually happened to them and they had to fix it and put something there to brace it, right?
Mhm.
What also happens as a result of that is when you put these extra bars here, it really changes the focus of the response of the neck, because you're adding stability, I guess, if you will, to that structure that reduces the vibration coming through the neck when you play it, and puts more of that energy through the instrument that you don't lose in the vibration of the neck. So it really changes the response of the instrument, and kind of is, it's kind of like a power boost, if you will. It adds an extra gear.
Mhm.
You play it, it really changes the way the horn responds and projects, because it really focuses all that energy through the neck rather than what you might lose in some of that vibration. So when you get it, again, to celebrate the brand, to celebrate the innovations of the brand, I thought, you know, rather than just include it with the icon, I said, let's include it with both. So the player has a choice. They can choose to have that traditional feel, or they can choose to have the new feel with the power boost there from the icon neck, and they can interchange as they want. So in that, we also developed the icon for the alto. So the alto neck has the icon as well, with just one bar. It's not a pair of bars, because the alto neck is much smaller.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh, okay. I see.
so that's the neck.
All right.
And you can order an icon neck for your own SX90R. It would
Mm.
not be in this finish. It would be a traditional, the standard icon neck is simply nickel plated. It's all nickel plated with a gold lacquer key. And you could order
Oh,
that as an accessory from a dealer.
mm. Cool. And so these are made in Germany, in Anaheim, right? The factory is
In
in.
Markenkirchen.
Oh, yeah,
Markenkirchen.
yeah. Anaheim. Anaheim is. We were talking about the NAM show, so
Anaheim's the NAMM show.
tell me again the name of
Markenkirchen.
the. All right. And how many pieces do you guys make per year,
Oh
or what's?
gosh. You know, I don't know the exact figure offhand. It varies year to year based on what's going, you know, things moving. But you know, between everything, I mean, between everything we make, not just saxophones, but that particular factory is making Keilwerth, where they're doing Senzo instruments. They do clarinets there. Schreiber is part of that factory as well, with bassoons. So there's hundreds and thousands of instruments of all varied models being made every year through our different factories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have to visit the factory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Haven't been there. I hope I get
Absolutely.
to visit that.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful area of Germany. It's in a very remote area, you know, and really, really pretty place to visit. I see a question here from Helen. One of the things that makes the Shadow stand out from the conventional SX90R is the immediacy of its response to the player inputs. Does the 100th anniversary model share this characteristic? Is it more conventional? No, Helen, it actually very much shares the characteristic of the Shadow, and that's because primarily of the nickel silver that it's made of, just like the Shadow is. I've noticed that right away. This particular one, as I said, is the only one we have here, and I've actually taken this out to play on a few gigs myself, just to put it through the paces and see how it feels, and it really responds differently. My own tenor is a black nickel tenor from 1989. I've had it for quite a long time, and it plays very different in the response because of the material. Yeah.
Uh,
Was wondering if the angel wing slowed the response. No, I don't notice a slow in the response because of the angel wing. No, I haven't noticed anything there. Case looks great. Will that be available separate purchase? Yes, we are gonna have some cases available. The anniversary design that people could buy the case as well. We haven't released pricing and info on that yet, but we will soon. One thing that people asked me about, that I got a lot of questions about regarding the angel wing, as I mentioned about it being removable. So a lot of people asked about seeing that. So I thought one thing I would do while we were here is actually remove it and show you guys what happens when that comes off. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this live on screen and hope it doesn't create a
well,
catastrophe.
while you do that, because I saw a couple more people coming in, so we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to tell us a little more about you guys. So while that gives you, for those of you who did not were not there at the beginning, if you want to just let us know where you guys are watching from, and so on. And someone is asking, can we find pricing info online or just through the dealer?
Yeah, pricing you would have to get through a dealer you may purchase it from, because that could vary dealer to dealer. Yeah, there is no published pricing online. I would say just contact your local store who you shop through. If they're an authorized buffet crampon dealer, they should be able to let you know as far as what the pricing would be if they're able to get the model. If it hasn't, if there's still some available in that region.
And I'm going to put the here you can go directly on the Keilwerth Saxophones website, where you're gonna see other information about all the models and so on. I think I've shared already the. I need to close this. I shared that, so you guys should be able to download this. I'm gonna share some of the old catalog. This is a catalog from the 60s. And yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna bring you back. You're done? You got it?
Yeah. So there's the wing.
I know it's just the screws that you have to screw on.
Yeah, there's 3 little screws that come off, and then it just comes right off. And the back is lined with a piece of like very thin felt to protect it from scratching. And then you have the instrument without the wing.
Wow. Looks naked now.
It looks naked, right? But it's the same traditional key guards. And you can notice, let's see if you can notice, see there's 2 little screw holes there on the sides, and that's where the wing taps into. Right? So that's the only real difference between the standard key guards and these, and that's it. So you get a more traditional look.
All right. And I'm curious, what's the weight of the tenor and the alto?
The weight?
Yeah.
I actually don't have that offhand.
All right. Is it probably similar to the SX90?
It should be, virtually the same. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing. The only thing that would add any little bit of extra weight is this, which maybe weighs a couple ounces. Surprisingly, at the NAMM show, where we had these on display a couple weeks ago, a lot of people picked these up to try them, and they said, "Wow, this feels so light. It feels so lighter." And I don't know why that would be, but to them it felt very light. So I was like, okay, because there really was nothing done to make it specifically lighter than what it generally is. But
all right. And so I have a question. Is there some at the Buffet Crampon showroom in Paris?
I do not think so. But I'm not sure. I haven't.
Is there any in France? Where are we in Europe? Do I have to come to see you guys in Jacksonville?
Well, there won't be any here either, but the ones in I don't. You should ask. I don't
I'll
know
ask
if
again. Yeah.
yeah,
I'll ask them here in Paris, but
yeah.
I was
I don't
wondering.
know if they sent one over to the showroom in Paris or not. They
All
should.
right. I'm just, sharing all the files with everybody. I think we're about to wrap up. If you guys have any questions, or Al, if there is anything else that you want to, share, talk about while I do this, and
Just looking through to see if there were any other questions I missed. I'm scrolling through. Um,
and
anything. I mean, if anybody has any other questions for me, you're welcome to email me. The address is Keilwerth-info@buffetcrampon.com. Um,
do you want to write this maybe in the or
in,
maybe right here in the
I'll type it in the comments.
Keilwerth. Let me just
Dash info.
like this.
At buffetcrampon.com.
And so that gets to you.
That goes right to me.
And you can, so if you guys have any questions specific to the Keilwerth saxophone, you can contact Al at this address.
Yep.
And I think actually I forgot to mention that I'm very bad at self-promoting, but I'm going to fix that now. This is part of Jazz Video Lessons, my website where I share, my some of my knowledge and ideas about jazz and improvisation. So, if you don't know, I see some of you guys are already. I see Guillaume and Gilbert here, Romain. So you guys can visit. Also, there's a lot of information. And yeah, I think if you guys have any other question right now, or again, you can contact Al, and we will post the recording online. But otherwise, I think we have talked about all the important stuff about Keilwerth. Al, you reminded us about the history of Keilwerth, the long history, 100 years of saxophone making. We talked about the historical models, Tone King. I have the 75 anniversary. Is there any other anniversary model, limited edition, or just this one?
There was an anniversary model they did for the 20th year of the SX90R.
Oh, there was this limited edition. Okay. And do you remember by any chance how many of the 75 was made?
I don't exactly. Hey, Andy, are you out there? Can you hear me? Because I know Andreas is here. Maybe he knows. Because Andreas was around when that was happening. Andy, if you hear me, how many 75 anniversary models were made, if you know?
That was a long time ago.
He said 75 were made.
Really? Wow. Okay. Well, I get it. So 75 altos, 75 tenors.
I suppose, yeah.
Well, I got one of each.
There you go.
And they're great. They're my favorite. What I can say, maybe we'll finish with that. Is my own personal experience with Keilwerth, which maybe could be interesting. I don't know. But yeah, I discovered Keilwerth in 2000, and I tried the alto. I'm mainly an alto player, and when I tried the alto, I just like loved it right away, and I bought the alto, the tenor, and the soprano. I bought everything. I was like,
Yeah. Right.
uh, I was playing another brand,
Yep.
and I bought all my saxophones that one day, and then I went to Berkeley, blah blah blah, and I've been playing with saxophones for 25 years. And then we met actually at the NAM show.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I went to the NAM show a couple of times, and
Yep.
and that's how we got connected. And they are very, the sound is great, and this is, everybody will answer differently, it's but obviously I love the sound. It helps me to get the sound that I'm looking for. But what is not subjective, it's a road warrior. I travel. I take the train. I take the bus. I take the plane. And it's very very consistent, very solid. I hardly ever have it to get maintained. Never have any problem. Every once in a while, of course, just to fine tune the keywords and that. But it's extremely reliable, very very solid, very high quality instrument. And so for someone, especially for someone who travels a lot, it's definitely an important factor, because you don't want to be traveling somewhere and you don't know if where's the next uh, reaper
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Well, that's something that Ernie Watts tells me often. He's told me many times that one of the reasons he's loved the brand for so many years is, with as much traveling as he does, he always knows it's going to be consistent, and hold up under the strain of you know multiple modes of transportation. So he really can rely on it. I see JC asking about the actual date in 1925 that the brand was founded. I'm sorry, I do not know that specific date. I'm not sure if there is record of the actual date, but I can see what I can find out there. Um, Helen said, same experience. I played another brand for 30 before switching to JK. Won't go back. Now I use JK alto through bass. Fantastic. Thank you, Helen.
All right. Well, I think we did it.
We made it. We made it.
Thank you all for all those insights and information about the making of this limited edition. I hope I get to at least try it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to the showroom tomorrow, so
Okay.
I'll ask. And
Yeah.
you guys are in Paris. There's a beautiful showroom in the heart of Paris. There's another one in Germany. Where is it in Germany?
No, there's one in Amsterdam. It's a buffet showroom in Amsterdam. There's one in Paris.
There's one
Yeah,
in
Germany. There's one in Germany, and Garrett Street is more of a brass factory for the tubas and such. I'm not sure if they have Keilwerth at that showroom or not.
And isn't there's still a showroom in Tokyo, or there wasn't? There wasn't.
The buffet
There wasn't.
headquarters in Tokyo has a showroom there too at their headquarters.
All right, so you guys have to ask if you're.
Yes, there is at the Garrett Street showroom in Germany as well.
All right. So ask your dealer if they have the limited edition 100-year anniversary to try it. And thank you all for tuning in and participating. Great questions. Thank you, Al, for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah.
From your office in Jacksonville. And we'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate the support for the brand, and look forward to another 100 years.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be there for the next.
I don't know if we will, but if we are, it'll be a miracle.
Well, there will be a recording of us, so maybe, well, who knows
Yep,
how they will talk about it, which medium they
exactly.
use. But all right. Well, thank you, Al. Thank you, Gabby, who also was helping us to
Yes.
set this. And thank you, everybody. And we'll talk soon. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.